Disappearance of an ordinary woman. I sit in the kitchen, in front of the window. I sometimes watch the windows across the way from me for hours. One is so close that I can hear their radio clearly, and the other is so far that only a halo of the window frame and the curtain are visible. Then I try to imagine the lives behind these windows, the fears, apprehensions, and joy. This is my hobby. Outside, the kitchen is filled with the noise of 5, 7, and 8-year-old kids. 2 belong to my downstairs neighbor, 1 to my neighbor on the right-hand side, and the other to mine. The kids are gathered in my place because we have a turtle, chickadees, and all kinds of spiders and roaches. The noise of the rundown motorcycle fills the alley. It's the newspaper man. I count to 25, and a click is heard. He throws the paper in the yard from the top of the door. I get up immediately. I go down the stairs quickly. I am now standing in the middle of the yard. Our yard is about 3 by 5 meters. Taking a big step, I reach the paper. I pick it up and look at the large print headlines on the first page. Then I go to the incidents page. It is full of reports. I am glad. This is my other hobby. I go up the stairs 2 steps at a time. I finish my work quickly and go to the back room, where noise and light can't penetrate. Then I turn the light on, open my favorite page, and devour the items. Usually after reading this type of news, I get a strange feeling of fear and anxiety. If the news is about a peculiar, hot incident, I look at the people around me differently for a long time, especially my husband and children. I avoid everybody and everything. This is a significant part of my hobby. Today's incidents page is full of reports but nothing special. Report of an accident on the road to Hamadan, the suicide of a 16-year-old, and the quarrel of 2 friends that has led to the death of one. That's all. I prefer domestic topics. I am about to put the newspaper aside when I notice a woman's picture. Above the picture it says, "Disappeared," and under are given the details of the woman's disappearance. How the report is written differs from how these kinds of reports are usually written. A husband returns home after a few days on a trip and finds no trace of his young kind wife. He is now seeking help to see her. Then, there is a phone number that starts with 538. Why should a woman leave her home? I examined the photograph closely. It could be more apparent. Suddenly my heart wants to stop, my eyes are blurred and my temples are hot. I throw the paper aside and hold my head in my hands. I press my head with my fingers and blame myself. Calm down. Calm down. But I'm not calm. I look at the photograph again. God, how is it possible? I get up, walk around the room, and leave. The kids are still there. They are playing. To me they now look like big dolls that move around. I go into the kitchen, wash my face, fill my lungs with air, and breathe out a few times. Then I return to the room. I look around. My past flashes before my eyes: marriage, buying the house, the birth of the children. I have known this room for a long time. I know the place of everything in this room so well that I can find the minor objects blindfolded. I pick up the newspaper again, stand under the lamp, and examine the page. Once again, I read the report about the woman who had vanished, and this time, I looked at the photograph more carefully. That's it, that's me. This is the same picture I took a few years ago for my insurance card. I had a few extra copies left. Quickly, I went to the picture album. I had 1 copy of the photograph in the album. In this picture, I am wearing my manager 1, and only the shadow of my hairline is visible. I am staring in front of me, my left eyelid is down. This is because of my eyebrow and the scar that splits it. I put the pictures next to each other, they are the same. My heart beats fast. I put my hand on my heart and try to calm myself. I have a cold sweat on my forehead, and my breath comes up only halfway. I breathe fast and feel there is no oxygen in the room. I tear out the page and hide it with my picture under the sewing machine table. I leave the room. A burning smell and smoke filled the kitchen. The children gathered around the chickadee's cage and watched their fast movements. I rushed to the kitchen, turn on the ventilator, and try to clear away the traces of crime as quickly as possible. I hide the burnt pot under the cabinets, and put another pot on the stove. I sit in front of the window again. I want to divert my thoughts to whatever happens behind the windows in front of me, but I don't find free time to look at the picture again, until the next day, around 5 in the afternoon when the kids go to the zoo with their father. When I'm finally alone in the house, I lock the hallway door and go to the room. I get the newspaper and the picture, and return to the living area in the hall. I have to look at it in the light. I don't know exactly how I feel. Do I want to be that woman or not? The way this report is written is very different from the way reports like these are usually written. Someone highly educated and cultured has written it. I put my picture next to the picture in the newspaper and looked again. It was the same. I quickly write down the phone number. But I don't go near it until a week later. I hardly leave the house, and I try not to run into anyone when I go shopping. I eagerly examine the daily paper, page by page. I want to see if the report is published again. No, there is no more report. Perhaps it's been published in other papers. I sit in front of the phone when no one is in the house. I dial the number and cover the speaker with my hand, trying to stop the very sound of my breathing from being heard on the other end. I hear a man's voice coming from the other end of the line. A respectable and dignified man with a warm voice keeps repeating, "Yes, please." I hang up immediately. I am embarrassed. I have never done anything like this before. He won't hang up if I don't. We both remain silent, and I start to feel anxious. I fear his ability to trace down my number with a particular machine. Until one day when he goes ahead and says, "Please talk. Why don't you say something? I know you are not a nuisance. I am sure you have something to say. But if you hesitate, please put hesitation aside. I won't harm you. If it has anything to do with the report in the paper, you must know that I am waiting desperately." I hang up immediately. It's him, the man looking for his wife. His wife? Wife? I have been married for years to a teacher who is all thumbs, according to my mother, mediocre. His job, his income, his looks, his level of education, his behavior, the way he loves, everything about him is mediocre. I have no intention of playing games with anyone, and I keep telling myself that people are not toys and should not be used for one's amusement. If you are bored, start working at home or outside. Hassan has suggested that several times. It's you who doesn't want to work. If you prefer to stay home, don't waste your time with the telephone. Knowing all this, I sit cross-legged in front of the phone again. My hands shake. I hear a busy signal with the 4th number. I put the phone down and decided to do my chores. It's late, it's 10 o'clock. I pick up the phone again. With the 7th digit, I am ready to hang up again. But I don't. With the 3rd ring, the man answers the phone. His voice has the usual warmth and dignity. Before I can think, he says, "Please don't hang up. Please." In his voice, I feel such pleading for him. He speaks for half an hour. His words are joyful and sometimes so sad they bring tears to my eyes. He finally says, "You can hang up now, I think I have tired you. But call again, okay? At the same time, let me talk just for half an hour with you. I don't know anything about you, and I don't want to know you. I want us to chat as unknown friends and pour out our hearts to each other, that's all." He says goodbye, but he doesn't hang up. He is waiting for me to do it. I hang up and look at the time. It's 10:30. No, this is not betrayal. I tell myself 1,000 times this is not betrayal. But I don't know Hassan about it. It's too late for that, it will cause trouble. He will want to know why I didn't tell him earlier. He is right. About 2 months have passed since the time of that report in the paper, and life goes on as usual. But my phone is busy every day between 10 and 10:30. I am disconnected from the world outside. I sit cross-legged daily in front of the small table where the phone is and dial the number. After a few seconds, the 3rd ring hears his warm and resonant voice, "Yes, please?" Then time stops and the clock stops ticking for 30 minutes. He always says, "It looks like I've tired you out." And it's always me who always wants to scream and say, "I am not tired. I am not tired at all." There is not one day that he doesn't have something interesting to talk about. One day he talks about collecting donations for the earthquake victims, another day he talks of an incident in prison. His life is very different from that of ordinary and boring people like us. I only speak a little. Once in a while, I say something and give an opinion. I make my sentences short and meaningful. After all, he is educated, and I lose my confidence in front of such people. I don't want to say something and make a fool of myself. After each conversation, I feel embarrassed about what I have said. I am worried that his judgment of me will be the same judgment of Hassan, a mediocre son. I hate being mediocre. If I have to be mediocre, I prefer not to be at all. He is different from others. He looks at any subject from a new angle, and says things I haven't heard from anyone else. The way he says a thing is different from others too. His other difference is that he doesn't force me to do anything I don't want to do. He doesn't insist on getting my phone number, address, or anything I don't want to tell him. He only suggests that we see each other occasionally, but he never insists. He lets me get used to it slowly. It's not much what he asks, a visit from a distance. I finally accepted. I have to wait under a tree in Valiasa Square, while he waits on the other side in front of the Tijarat Bank. But we will each go our own way after a while. He is tall, with grey hair and a face that shines in the sun. I went wearing my black scarf and black overcoat. I wanted to pass, without paying any attention to him. After seeing his face, I felt sorry for him. Then I waited a while under the tree until he smiled at me. I come back home quickly. I want to stop calling him. What does he think of me now? A loose woman, who can be taken out of the house with the slightest signal. I, however, called him at 10 o'clock the next day. His voice vibrates with excitement. He speaks with a unique intimacy, more intimate than the other days. He is eager for us to see each other today. From then on, the Modaba Cafe is our meeting place. Once, when he opened his wallet to pay the bill, I saw a photograph of a woman. It was the same picture in the newspaper. It is the same 6x4 picture I took for my insurance card. He then suggests that I look at a few images he has with him. We walk side by side and look at photos. The next time I saw him from far away, he seemed much more familiar to me. I feel I have seen this person many times. Perhaps it's because of the pictures. In the taxi, I hold my head against the window and think I should take a cold shower and an aspirin with codeine to get rid of my headache. For 2 days I couldn't lift my head from my pillow. I can hardly recognize myself. When I finally leave bed, I am pale, my eyes are puffy, and my hair is disheveled. I rush to the phone. My mind is filled with thousands of images when I hear his voice. It's me there, in every single one of them, with the outfit and makeup that is mine, everywhere with the same frozen looks and smile. It's as if everything is happening for the first and the 1000th time. Everything is as familiar as it is strange. The degree of my knowing is the same as of my not knowing. Knowing and unknowing are so close that they are one. The following day, I stood in front of an old house in a long narrow alley far from Amaria Square. What am I doing here? I asked myself. I wanted to return when suddenly a big iron door opened. He came out saying, "How wonderful that you came. Welcome to your own home. Come in. What are you waiting for?" It's getting dark when I stop the first taxi I see. 300 Tomans to Engelab. I go back home and promise myself not to call again. The next day I don't call, and I don't call the week after. But I can't help myself. I can't wait until the time to sit cross-legged next to the phone and dial the first digits, 538. I do that as soon as I find myself alone at home. "Excuse me, madam, whom did you say you wish to speak with?" "Mr. Javad." "He is not here." "Where is he?" "He has not lived here for years." "How could that be possible, sir?" I spoke to him a few days ago. You are making a mistake, madam. He has been living abroad for a long time now. Abroad? You are talking nonsense. Please, madam, don't insult me. Then give him the phone. I need to speak to him. I have something important to tell him. Madam, how can I convince you? It's been years since he lived in Iran, and I don't have his number. Dear sir, please don't bother me. If he has told you to tell me he is not home. No, madam, it's not what you think. He is not here. Would you at least give him my message? I can't. How can I do that? You are lying, I'm sure. But I want you to know that you are making a big mistake. A mistake that can't be corrected. Do you know why I am calling? I wanted to speak to him about the report in the newspaper. I wanted to tell him something significant. Which report? The one about the disappearance of his wife. Oh yes, now I remember. Well, that was a long time ago, many years ago. It's old news now. I don't understand. Do you think you are dealing with a crazy person? I don't want to hear your ugly voice. I don't. I hang up and get up the newspaper. I have to find the newspaper with the report in it. That's my only token of remembrance.